You are listening to This is Oklahoma, hosted by Mike Hearn, telling stories of Oklahomans and those that have made it their home.
What's up, guys? Welcome back to another episode of This is Oklahoma. Mike Hearn here, host, back with another episode. Excited to share this episode with you today, but before we do, huge shout out to our sponsors. The Oklahoma Hall of Fame has been sharing Oklahoma's story through its people since 1927. For more information on the Oklahoma Hall of Fame, go to www.oklahomahof.com. And for daily updates, go to oklahomahof on Instagram and give them a follow. Our other sponsor today is Chickasaw Nation. Now, the Chickasaw Nation have sponsored pretty much everything in Oklahoma. They're a huge supporter of Oklahoma. And it's an honor to have their name and their brand supporting this podcast. A huge shout out to Governor Anatoby for supporting this podcast. It really means a lot. This episode is brought to you by the Doghouse OKC. Recently, I have been in need of some doggy daycare for my two pups, and the Doghouse have come in clutch. The team over there are incredible. They've taken care of my two golden doodles, and so it's been an honor to partner with them on the podcast and share the love. Adding to that is the Doghouse, and so if you're in need of doggy daycare in the day or boarding overnight, they do grooming and other cool things too, but I've had a fantastic experience, and it's an honor and a privilege to share this with you too. So go to thedogHouseOKC.com and follow them on Instagram at thedogHouseOKC, and hopefully our pups will run into each other.
Ladies and gentlemen, it gives me great pleasure to introduce to the podcast Halle McFarlane, who is the 70th drum major of the Pride of Oklahoma. If you're an OU fan, you've seen her strutting her stuff down the field. So excited to dive into your story, excited to give you a chance to tell your story, because a lot of people, 80,000 plus whoever's in the stadium have seen you do your thing and do that famous walk and lead the band. And so I'm excited to dive into your story. Thanks so much for taking some time out of your super busy schedule, doing a degree in electrical engineering and music. There's a lot of things going on. So yeah, thanks so much for joining me.
Thank you so much for having me. I'm excited to be here.
So let's start way back. Where were you born and raised?
I'm born and raised in Edmond, Oklahoma. So I have been in Oklahoma all my life.
And so did you go to, does that mean you're a Husky, Edmond North?
I went to Deer Creek, so I'm an Antler.
Okay. And music was just there from a very young age?
Yes, my parents put me in piano lessons when I was in about first grade, and that was kind of the first time, started doing music. And in sixth grade, you get to have the option to try band. And I remember getting to go in and test all the instruments, and I really loved percussion. It was just the instrument that spoke to me, and I auditioned and made it into the sixth grade percussion class. And from there went on to continue percussion through middle school and high school and college.
When you go in at first grade and your parents put you in piano lessons, do you go kicking and screaming because you want to do a bunch of other things and you see it as a chore, or do you think, I want to do this?
It's kind of like learning a language. If you remember, when you first start, you're like, oh, this is so cool. And then you get into the hard part, the learning curve, and you cry at the piano because you don't want to practice. And then once you get past that learning curve, it ends up being really fun because you can start to play your favorite songs. And then when your friends want to hear a song, you could play it for them, and it becomes this really cool thing. So there definitely was a bit of a learning curve, but once you kind of get over that, music becomes really fun.
What were your other main hobbies around that time as a kid?
That's a really good question. I think a lot of it was playing piano, in all honesty. I did dance when I was really little, so that kind of took most of my time as well. And then when I got into high school, I switched from dance to swim, and I was on the swim team. So
clearly rhythm is a thing for you. Dance, swimming, you need to be in a rhythm. Obviously percussion, drums, that's something that you can tap your head and rub your stomach pretty naturally, whereas I cannot do either. Terrible at it. But do you have, so mom and dad put you into piano lessons at a young age. Do you have family members and are your parents involved in music at that time as well, or are you the only one?
It's interesting. I'm kind of the only one, which is kind of special. I love getting to kind of bring that, gift to my family, because my grandma plays a little, I think, but really I think it was my great grandma who played organ in church, and that was kind of the last big musician in my family. So it's kind of, I don't know, a fun skill to have. It's a little bit
So looking back, great grandma, does the swimming and the dance, does that come from family?
Yes, the swimming definitely does. My parents both were lifeguards in college, and then my mom swam when she was a kid, so it's just a really just nice sport to do.
Yeah, yeah. So when you get to going in at sixth grade, you get to try out for a band. Do you remember that day? What like how that day went?
Yes, oh my goodness. I was super nervous, because you have to do this it was a coordination test where you, like, tapped your hands and stomped your feet to prove that you could, that you just had some kind of coordination so that when you get in there, you're set up for success. And I remember going in there and auditioning and then getting the letter of, like, "Congratulations, you've made it into 6th grade percussion," and it was a whole ordeal trying to decide, do I actually do band? Because this was kind of the first time as a kid you get to pick your own classes, like, oh, do I really want to, pick band instead of art class or instead of computer coding or gym or it was the first time you could pick an elective and I was so torn. And my mom was like, just give it a shot. If you don't like it after 6th grade, you don't have to do it, in 7th or 8th. And then I loved it.
What was it that captured you? Why did you fall in love with it? And you know, clearly it works because you're where you are today because of that passion and that love. But what was it that really captured you?
I think it was 50% the community around it. Like having a bunch of people making music together was really cool to me because piano had been a very individualistic thing and getting to, you know, be with a bunch of other people all playing at the same time, playing different instruments that creates one song was really cool. And I wanted to, get more of that. And then also the challenge of it was fun. Learning something new and then working towards the next thing and the next thing, the next thing. Kind of getting to see that progress was really enjoyable.
Yeah. Is there a drum major position in high school band, or is that only in college?
Yes, there
Okay.
is. It's a little bit different in high school than it is in college. At my high school, there were 3 drum majors, and your role is kind of more keeping time on the field for these like big shows. But in college, it's less of, one show that you compete all the time and more of, bringing energy and joy to the fans for pregame and halftime and in the stands.
Yeah, that's for me. Like I didn't my high school didn't have a band. It's not a thing back home. So I remember going to my first game and seeing it and being like, "How do you all not walk into each other? How do you all play at the same time and coordinate?" And like, I was fascinated, and then kind of dove into it and had friends who had kids that were in it, and it is a lot harder than I think people think. Playing an instrument's hard anyway, and then you add in, walking around the field, and then you add in the pressure of in front of whether it's 1,000 fans at high school or 80,000 fans at OU or any other school. It's a huge deal, and I'm sure there are days that you look up at the stadium, whether it's an 11 a.m. game and it's going to be roasting, or it's 8 o'clock at night and you're like, this can be so cool because I get to breathe a little bit. I'm sure it takes you away, but look, we'll get to all that. I've got so many questions to ask. I'm super pumped to dive into your story. So you fall in love in high school with it. Percussion's your thing. What were those key moments in high school that then lead you into, you know what, I think I could go to school for this?
I think there's a couple things. One was when we first started learning, you can hold 4 mallets in your hand actually, instead of just 2. And I remember when we first learned that, I was really intrigued by it. And I was like, I want to do a solo. I want to do a 4 mallet solo. Like that was my goal. And so I worked on it myself and I did all of it and I competed it and I did pretty well. And that was kind of the first moment where I was like, yeah, I can do this. And then throughout high school, I started, I wrote some music for my piano, or well, I guess I arranged it. It wasn't original, but I was able to do that and perform it. And that was very interesting to me to, I don't know, be able to take a song that you love and write it for your instrument and then be able to share it with people. So
How was your high school experience?
it definitely was an interesting one because I was the, I guess, junior and senior class that was impacted by COVID-19. That was junior year into senior year. And so I was fortunate that pool chlorine killed COVID. So I still got to swim, but we didn't get to do band the same. We had to be further apart. We had to play on the track instead of playing in the stands. We had to do these bell covers. And the week of our only competition, we all, at least like 70% of the band got COVID. And so we couldn't go. And I will never forget our director, Mr. Cassidy, on a Zoom call with me and my co-drum majors saying, hey, so this season's going to look a little bit different. And it was our job to keep people motivated. And so throughout, that time, it honestly really changed my perception of what it's like to be a leader and what it's like to be a drum major. Because when I first got the position, I was like, my job is to direct the band and to, set a good example. Throughout, us all being stuck at home, it kind of became more of how can I keep people connected? How can we motivate people to play their instrument? And so we had this giant group chat where we'd all send videos. Hey, send your favorite movie theme song today on your instrument. Or, hey, send a picture of you and your pets today. Or just like different ways to keep everybody engaged. And then when, we finally got to go back to school for limited hours, it made hopping back in way easier. And it also, I had all these connections with these people now. And so getting to work with them in person was just so much more impactful and easy because of those relationships. And that taught me how important, while conducting the band and setting a good example is important, you also have to foster those connections with the people you're leading. And I think that is one of the most impactful lessons I will take from high school and took with me into college and into the position here at OU.
Yeah, that's a really unique position to be in that, if it wasn't for the circumstances, you wouldn't have had that chance in your other drum age to lead. And also, like you said, music's the vehicle that brings you all together, but you get to learn so much more about your teammates or your bandmates, what their pets are like, favorite movies, like, there's so many little intricate details that, yeah, when you do come back together, you're like, I really know this person and I haven't seen them in however many weeks or months, but we have a connection through all of you through this huge group chat that it's a safe space too, right? Like you're all part of this huge team, and that is a really cool experience and something that clearly it's fortunate, under unfortunate circumstances you get to learn a lot and get a great experience out of it that you then take on to whatever else you get into as a team, as a workforce, whatever that leads to in your future, and gives you the opportunity as a young adult to lead too, right? And come up with creative ways to keep everybody engaged, which in today's world is really hard to do.
Mm-hmm.
So tell me about OU. How does that chance come about? How does the decision to go to OU, and then were you looking at other schools as well? And then I guess by that time, were you able to go on visits as well?
So visits looked a little different. I did most of them in a setting that we're kind of in right now. I watched on Zoom as somebody strapped a camera to a golf cart and drove me around campus. So it was a little hard to, kind of get a, I guess, home feel from any campuses, but I was very, very fortunate to be a born and bred Sooner. My grandparents on both sides went to OU. My parents both went to OU. So I'm a little more familiar with Norman than any other college campus. And I remember getting to come on a tour here. I had to socially distance during my campus tour. I had to meet with professors on Zoom if I was going to meet with them. And it just felt like the right place. I'd been here as a little kid. I'd been to football games. I had already felt familiar. And then being close to home was also a huge benefit. So it seemed like the easiest choice.
Yeah, having that generational connection and been to games. And it's familiar. It's close. It's far enough away, but it's also close enough that if you want to go home and, have mum do your laundry or cook food or whatever it is, go see your grandparents, hang out and get that home feel. Yeah, that's really cool. And then I don't know, was OU in the SEC at that point or not?
We were not yet.
Okay, so you've got to see best of both worlds then.
Yes, it was.
Which is really cool.
My very first kind of, I guess, big drum major gig was the Welcome to the SEC party. So
Sick.
that I got to be the very first SEC drum major for the university, which is
That's so
a
cool.
huge honor.
Tell me about electrical engineering. How do you fall on that? And was that a decision that was made kind of early on going into school, or was that something that's kind of unfolded as you've gone through college?
It's definitely unfolded as I've been here. I actually started at OU as a engineering undecided and music composition double major.
Wow.
I couldn't really decide what I wanted to do, but in my brain, I wanted to be the next John Williams. I wanted to write music for movies really badly. And I got in here, and you have to do all the, freshman classes, music theory 1, physics 1. I was doing both the engineering curriculum and the music curriculum at the same time, which made things a bit crazy, but that's because I couldn't make up my mind. And then, as the semesters went on, I found electronic music composition, which was really fun. And I realized that I really loved, I guess, kind of more of the science behind music, getting to deal with all the electronic instruments, microphones, keyboards was so cool to me. I just thought that it was the coolest thing ever. And I talked to my advisors and we settled on electrical engineering. So currently about to graduate in electrical engineering with a minor in music composition. So
When I think of electrical music, I immediately think of, growing up back home, and dance music was huge. And I'm 35, kind of mid to late 2000s was kind of peak EDM era for us.
yeah.
Now everybody's posting about 2016, and there's some great songs that came from 2016. What's your preferred song genre of choice? If you're going to go to a concert, what are you going to?
I am a huge rock girl. I
Okay.
love rock. I think some of my favorite bands I've seen live, I've seen Foo Fighters live. They were awesome. I've gotten to see 21 Pilots live. They're kind of more rock alternative, but they're so great. Paramore, they're awesome too. So,
Yeah, Hayley Williams is kind of hard to beat.
oh my goodness,
I
she's awesome.
haven't seen it live, but I have listened to some Paramore in my day. 21 Pilots, I saw them at ACL years and years ago.
Wow.
Foo Fighters also at ACL.
I saw Foo Fighters at ACL. We might have been in the same concert.
This was probably 10 years ago, so maybe. It was the one where Dave Grohl had broke his leg and came out on a giant like royal looking chair.
Oh my goodness.
So
Nope, that was not the one I was at, but
okay,
that's
yeah.
crazy that you were at that one. Oh my
Yeah, he
goodness.
broke his leg earlier in the year, jumping off stage, I think in Sweden when they were on tour. It's a mad story. He breaks his leg kind of early in the set because he jumps off stage, breaks his ankle or leg, and then he's on it's worth Googling or looking on YouTube because he like picks up the microphone. He's like, I'll be back. He goes to the hospital, gets strapped up. Everyone stays there, and then he comes back, finishes the show.
Oh
And
my
then for the rest of the tour, they set like this giant, Lord of the Rings, Game of Thrones style chair that he literally stayed in and sang and played, did everything. And the start of the set, they opened to All My Life, which is generally what they open to. One of the greatest rock songs ever.
Mm-hmm.
The guitar starts, and then when the drums kick, the curtains come down. So then as the curtains drop, everyone kind of walks forward, and then this chair on a motorized system on a rails just kind of comes to this. It was so cool.
That's awesome.
Yeah, I'll have to see if there's any video of it. It was a really good concert, but I'm not surprised that you're into rock since you're into drums as well, right? So
Yeah.
there's a lot of that. And we could talk about, I love going to shows, and it's more people should go to shows, I think. Yeah, live music's hard to beat and especially with your musical, understanding and brain. Like, I just like to listen to it, but I'm sure there's times where you're watching people playing and you're like, well, that's really hard to do, especially live. Amazing. Okay, let's go to first day of band practice. Take me
Woo.
there.
Like very first day of freshman year?
Like, show up at OU, first day of band practice.
Oh my goodness. I remember moving in that morning. We got there super early to beat the traffic, and I was one of the first people in the dorms. It was crazy. And I had nothing else to do. I didn't really know anybody yet. And I got an email that was like, hey, if you're already moved in and you want to come help unload the trailer, we're just going to do like an equipment check. And so I show up, and it's all of these tall people. I just remember them being taller than me. And it's like the leadership team. So it's like they all know what they're doing, and they're all friends, and they've done this before. And I'm like, hi, I'm Halle. I'm a freshman. I just got here. What's your name? And I remember helping them unload the trailer and getting to see the mallet station. That was actually the first thing I ever played, which might even, lead into why I went into music electronics. But it is I guess a kind of keyboard that you could play mallets on. It was a really new thing. Pearl had come up with it, and it was you could put any sound on it. And you just hit it with a mallet and it makes the sound like it's a piano keyboard, but it was a mallet keyboard. And it was really cool.
Yeah.
And I remember helping hook that up and getting to like goof around with the interface. It was like attached to a MacBook, so it had all these sounds on it.
Is that because traditionally, like that sort of instrument was usually metal keys with a, what would that have been called before?
It was usually a synthesizer, but I
Okay,
guess
okay.
they wanted to just try something new,
Yeah.
and I was down. I was, super excited to try it out, and it ended up being really fun. I think my favorite thing we ever played on it was we got to do a Billy Joel show at OU Texas and at the bowl game, and we did Pressure, and that opening synth, I got to find a sound that sounded just like that, and it was so fun getting to play that super iconic lick.
So first day, you're helping unload this giant truck and doing equipment check, and there's just boxes and equipment everywhere.
Mhm.
Was it 1,000 degrees outside as well?
Funny enough, I don't remember the heat. I am a warm-bodied person, so the winter is not my friend, which I guess helps when I have to wear, long sleeve polyester in the 100 degrees. So, but I just remember meeting the leadership team, meeting front ensemble captain Chase, getting to know all of them. I think we went and got ice cream that night with some of the other freshmen and our tenor section leaders. So it was just kind of I don't know, like, oh my goodness, I'm here at college and I have new friends. This is awesome. Cause I was so nervous, like, who am I going to meet? It's kind of a fresh start and getting to immediately show up day one and have people that have the same interest as you, have the same love for the university as you, and are just as excited to meet you as you are them. It was awesome.
Did anybody from Deer Creek Band that your bandmates come to OU as well, or no?
There were a few, not nearly as many as I thought, but I had a friend who played tuba, Daniel. He came with. There were a few of us. I think most of them have graduated now. I'm the old fifth year that's still here. So, but we had a couple mellophone players come with. Um, but
Yeah.
yeah, overall, not a ton.
So you get there first semester, you kind of find your way into sort of what instrument you want to play. The instrument you're kind of wanting to play or end up playing, do they throw you right into the mix then? Are you, as far as like the band is so big, but also like you're on the field as immediately? Like how does that work? Is it like, do you have to I mean, total novice here, and I hope that people listening are as well. How does the auditions work? How do you end up getting picked to go on the field? Like, yeah, what's that like?
So auditions are completely virtual, which is really nice. So, we don't have to travel to Norman just to audition. You just send in a video. And what is really cool about the Pride is it is a 100% equal opportunity institution. So if, you're a senior, you have to do the same audition as the freshman. If you're section leader last year, you still have to do the same audition as everybody else. It doesn't matter what position you held previously. Even when I went for drum major the second time, I still had to do the drum major audition again. I didn't just automatically get it. And so what's interesting about that is usually our band has a ton of freshmen because these kids have been practicing for high school, all state, and, big high school stuff, and they don't know who they're up against, so they practice really hard. Whereas, sometimes I've seen this happen to some of my friends before, the juniors or the seniors, they are like, I got it, I'm fine, I've done this before. And then they slack off and then they get beat. And we want the best 340 musicians out there, playing to support the team. And that's how it's got to be.
So you knew before you got on campus that you were going to be playing then?
Yes, you
That's
find
really
out
nice.
in the summer.
Yeah. That's really nice because then that takes that out of the way, doesn't it? It takes the pressure off. Like, okay, I know I have a position. I could focus on that. And then first game is like really quick.
Oh my goodness, the turnaround was crazy, especially my first year, because if you remember back in 2021, a hurricane hit Tulane and they couldn't host us. So we had to host them, which means we had to have the pregame show ready a week before we thought we were going to. And if you go back and watch the video, we are all in t-shirt and shorts because we didn't even have time to get uniforms fit yet. It was crazy.
How was that? You mentioned kind of OU Texas, and then I think another game you mentioned too. How was that experience going in? Yeah, let's talk about OU Texas. What's it like going down there? What's it like going down there? Technically going into enemy territory. You know, busing you guys down there, taking everything down there. What's that experience like? And yeah, as a someone who's attached to the athletics department heading down there, you know, it's not just as a fan, you are part of the show. So I'd love to hear all about that experience.
Yeah, OU Texas is one of the most special games that we get to do and share with Texas. I think it is such a special tradition to get to do and to invite both full bands there. Usually that only happens at bowl games. Is usually even at a home game, the away team will only bring a pep band. So getting both full bands there and completely splitting the stadium down the middle is just it's one of the most unique fan environments in college football. And I think it is a logistical wonder that the Pride of Oklahoma gets all 340 musicians down there, clothed, instrument, hoteled, fed in the spot where they need to be, ready to do their job. It is one of the most impressive undertakings. And I mean, that is kudos to our amazing staff and logistics team that make all that happen. We could not do what we do without all of them. And I will say that again and again, that they make us look so good. um, but getting down there, I think just getting to be in the stadium is really cool. And we get the very unique perspective of being on the field and getting to hear both sides of the fans. Because when I was in freshman year, I was in the front ensemble. So I technically didn't march. I was just on the front sideline. But then sophomore year, I wanted to march so badly. So I learned how to play the cymbals and I got on cymbal line, and getting to start in the Texas end zone and march across the 50 and go from boos to cheers during, the pregame sequence is one of the coolest, I will never forget it. Especially even, as drum major, getting to go from the boos to the cheers backwards was even crazier.
That's what makes it so special to the position that you're in, right? These are the memories you're going to think back on and tell stories about for the rest of your life, which is something that is super unique. You know, you're the 70th drum major, right? Like, and yeah, there's 340 of you, and there's 340 individual stories there as well, but there's very few people that get to do what you do, and have got to do what you do, through the years in college, and it's super special. And I just chatting to you for a little bit. Clearly, I know you don't take it for granted, which is a delight to see. Let's talk a little bit about, as you mentioned, kind of sophomore year going into cymbals, wanting to march. How difficult was it for you to learn the marches, be on, and be a part of that versus being in the front ensemble, kind of on the sideline?
It was really difficult. I had been in front ensemble all through high school. I was drum major for 1 year in high school, but you still are just standing still at the front. You're not marching. And so having to learn, stepping off with your left foot first and just being able to play and move your feet and, taking the right size step was just a huge adjustment. And I don't think I could have done it without my friends helping me out. I mean, I constantly was like, hey, can you watch this video? Hey, can you watch my marching? Can you meet me on the field and teach me how to do this? I think one of the big ways that I learned marching was actually through the drum major audition process, because freshman year I was, I guess, ambitious, and I said, hey, I'm going to audition for drum major. Even though I'm a freshman and I haven't marched on the field technically, I'm still a part of the band and I'm going to go for it. And so I did audition freshman year, and part of the audition was demonstrating your teaching skills via teaching marching technique. And so through learning how to teach somebody, I learned how to march, which was a really cool experience.
As people have said, is the best way to learn is to teach somebody, right?
Mm-hmm.
How was that second year then compared to the first year? You're marching around, you're on the field more. What were those experiences like?
Honestly, I think my favorite thing was getting to finally be a part of that OU on the field. The Jets fly over during the, end of the national anthem, and there's 4 taps from the center snare, and then it's go time. It's make the OU time. And I mean, it is the coolest thing ever to watch the OU get made. I guess some little insider on the OU It is made up of squads of 4, and each group of 4 has their own set of instructions that they follow so that they won't run into anybody else, and they'll end up where they need to be. And so if you go back and you watch the video of the OU being made, in every single pregame, you could watch a different group of 4 every go, and it will look different. One group moves forward and then backwards and then turns again, and then another group goes, forward and then turns, and then it's magical. It really is magical. And getting to be a part of one of those squads was a really, really special experience sophomore year that got me really addicted to being on the field, because I auditioned for cymbals again for junior year. So
It seems like a giant game of Tetris in real time with playing instruments in front of a giant crowd, and everybody can see if somebody does something wrong. Yeah, that's it's a lot of pressure. But again, you guys practice for a lot. So yeah, I guess let's talk about that. What's your practice schedule like? How does that work? What is the life of a student athlete that's in band as a practice schedule?
we rehearse a lot, but honestly, for the amount of product that we put out, it doesn't seem like that much. We rehearse Mondays, Wednesdays, Thursdays, and Fridays for 2 hours in the evening. It is 4:30 to 6:30. If you ever want to come out and watch a rehearsal, they're actually open to the public. So we have lots of Norman community come out and watch us play the same song over and over again. So we always love seeing people at rehearsal. But I know Tuesdays are our sectional days. So the drumline and the color guard have sectionals that day to work on. They have just a little bit of extra stuff that they've got to work on. The drumline usually has a lot of extra beats that they have to do because of, parades, stand cadences, even pregame stuff has just a little bit of extra drumline things that the rest of the band doesn't play with. And then color guard, they've got to, learn all of their choreography and figure out where they're going to be on the field. And so that just takes an extra rehearsal.
Yeah. Do you travel? You mentioned kind of the band kind of travels pretty light. Obviously, you don't take, to OU, Texas, you do, but other games. What does that look like as far as a travel schedule? And then have you always traveled, or is that something that's come later as you've progressed into the band?
It kind of varies person to person. We have a rule that your freshman year, your job is to be a student and to survive freshman year and to pass your classes. So freshmen do not travel with us to the away games unless there's a really special circumstance like OU Texas, or if we're in super dire need for an away game. But typically is only upperclassmen that get to travel to those special away games. When we were in the Big 12, we only went to the ones that were pretty close. So Kansas, OSU, Texas Tech, we've been to, Nebraska, kind of just, neighboring states, give or take. And then now that we've been into the SEC, we've actually gotten to go to almost all of the away games, which has been a huge adjustment. But we kind of just take a few of each instrument based on audition score, based on seniority, based on if their service, if they've helped out with a lot of pep gigs and things. We usually try to give those musicians, I guess, reward them for their service and
Yeah.
let them on the trips as well. So it kind of varies. I've gotten to go to, while I was on cymbal line, I got to go to University of Kansas. That was a fun trip. It was pouring rain and we got rain delayed, but it was really fun. I've gotten to go to Texas Tech. I got hit with a tortilla. It was fun. I'm trying to think where else. I got to go to the last Bedlam. It didn't turn out. I think we actually took the full band to Bedlam because we got to do a joint halftime with their band. And that was really, really special for the last one. So I've had some fun trips. It's been really fun. And then, of course, the past 2 years, I've been to a lot of stadiums as drum major.
Yeah, back to the tortilla. Not that specifically, but that sort of scenario. How is it going into an away stadium as the enemy? Worst stadium you've been to, some of the best. What's it been like going to away stadiums?
It's crazy. I mean, there's a whole different perspective from, just being in the band to being drum major. But no matter what, you do feel a little terrified. Like, what is somebody going to say to me? What is, like, where are we? We fortunately have an awesome security staff that keeps us safe, that are with us, that, we've had fans jump into the parade before and try and grab things. We've had people try to steal our hats before. I mean, it just happens, but we've got, security that keeps us safe. If anything, I don't know, especially as drum major, I run a little bit on spite. So when they're all, yelling Roll Tide at us, it makes me want to play Boomer Sooner even louder. Um, but overall, I think it's a really just cool experience to get to bring Boomer Sooner to these places, especially, with the SEC. We were kind of the first impression, of the Pride of Oklahoma to these stadiums. I don't think we'd ever played at Auburn before, or played at Saban Field before, or played at Tennessee before. And so getting to, bring a little slice of Norman, a little slice of, the Gaylord Family Memorial Stadium to those stadiums, and to also help motivate our team, give them, a taste of home, was really, really special. And I'm very, blessed that we got to do that. And I hope that in the future they continue to keep taking the band to those away stadiums, especially, next year as they get to travel to Michigan. I'm really excited to get to hear Boomer Sooner up there. So I hope that the band continues to travel, because I think it brings such a unique, I don't know, element to the games. And I personally think it helps our team. Maybe I'm crazy, but I really think that, it's a nice motivator when you're hearing Rocky Top over and over again. So
Let's dive into being drum major. You said you auditioned as a freshman. Did you continue to audition every year until you got it? And then what was it like the day you got it?
Oh my goodness. So yeah, it was crazy. I auditioned every single year. Freshman year, I just sent in a video audition and said, you know what, we'll learn no matter what. And I got selected as one of 6 finalists to go to the, I guess, semifinals, where I got to conduct the leadership team. And it was awesome. I got to get on a ladder for the first time. I got to call out tunes, conduct, kind of get a, dip my toe into it. And I didn't make it past that round. The leadership votes on the top 3 out of those 6 to go to finals. I unfortunately didn't make it to finals, but I wasn't expecting to. I was just super grateful to get the opportunity, just my first go. And sophomore year, I will admit, I had a bit of, confidence going in, a bit too much. And I just recorded my video and sent it in. I didn't really ask for much feedback. I didn't really, nitpick it. I was like, oh, I made it last year. This will be a breeze. And I didn't even make it to semifinals. I cried, but it was the best thing to ever happen to me, because junior year, I went in with a 110% different mindset. I started practicing months before. I was super transparent about the entire process. I started posting every single day a video of me working on the strut, even if I fell on the ground. I posted videos of me conducting. I got coffee with people that were drum major, that had made it to finals before, were just band members. And I asked them, what are you looking for in a drum major? What do you pay attention to in an audition? Like, what could I do to best serve you as drum major? And I don't know, I kind of went crazy about it. And junior year, I auditioned and I made it to prelims, or I guess semifinals, and I made it all the way to the final. It was amazing. And I remember practicing my butt off over Christmas break, because our final audition was actually at the bowl game, which happened to be the Alamo Bowl, the second Alamo Bowl for me, but it's the 2023 Alamo Bowl. And so I got to do my audition down at a high school in San Antonio. But leading up to that game wasn't until the 27th, 28th. So we didn't leave for the trip until the 26th. So I had all of December basically to practice. So I would sneak onto the high school football field and practice in the freezing cold. I videoed all of it. I posted all of it. I sent videos to friends. I was like, does this look good? What do you think? And then went down to the Alamo Bowl and did my best. I put it all out there. Part the audition includes doing the strut, of course, doing the high kicks at the beginning of pregame. You conduct a halftime show so they can see that you can do that. You do an interview in front of the entire band, just of, scenarios and character questions and just things like that. And then the whole band votes. All 340 of them get 1 vote apiece, and the band picks who they want to be their drum major. I will never forget that audition. I remember getting ready to do the strut and going backwards and hearing all my friends cheer me on was so special. And at that moment, all that hard work had led up to that point, and I like even in my heart, I was like, you know what? If I don't get it, I truly did my best. Like in that moment, I did my best. And I was very at peace with it. And then we went and did the bowl. We unfortunately lost to Arizona State, but went on with my life and started, the fall semester. And February 1st was the day that I found out I was getting lunch at Campus Corner. And I get a call from my mom, and I pick up, and I'm like, hello. And she's like, and I'm like, what happened? What? You got it. What? You're the drum major. What? And lo and behold, I opened Facebook and there's my face. And that's how I found out. And I cried on Campus Corner and it was great. And I'm so glad my mom got to share the news with me. It was crazy.
That's so awesome. What year was that? February of 24?
That would be, yes. Because
Okay.
that would be going into my senior year.
Yeah. Wow. Okay. Yeah, because I guess the season's done then, right? So then you
So-
get, effectively flip-flop semesters. Yeah, that's what was for lunch that day?
It was cup bop.
Nice.
I think it's the only time I've also been there, which is really funny. My friend Kate was like, let's go get cup pop. And I was like, okay.
Yeah.
I happened to find out there. Cup pop sponsor me. I don't
Oh, that's so cool to have that, to continue trying to have that setback, to like you said earlier, there's plenty of seniors who go in thinking they're junior seniors who audition thinking they've got it, and then they get a wake-up call. Like you've had that wake-up call.
I did.
Thankfully, it happened early on and not your junior, senior year, and then you've gone into it, given it everything you have. And it's not, it's the thing that I latch onto and kind of stands out for me is that, you're out there, and you've said it multiple times, is you're putting yourself out there completely, and you're going all in on something, regardless of what anyone thinks, regardless of, what the away fans may think, like whatever it is, like you're out there doing your thing. And I think that's something very freeing, and it's something that definitely people would take away from being like, it's like seeing someone just completely dancing in the aisles going shopping, right? Or like they're just completely happy and free in their own skin. And there's a lot of people out there, and I'm definitely one of them, who worries about what other people think, right? Like our image, and don't want to mess up in front of people, whereas it's very hard to do what you do, but you've done it and continues to do it, and now can go on and lead and have led. That's really special. And clearly your band saw that in you and voted you to be the drum major. And then you go on into your senior year to do this. And so it's, yeah, I mean, one thing, like how heavy is your uniform? How
Oh my
like,
goodness.
because you talk about high kicking in a heavy uniform, and then obviously what do you call your staff? Your baton.
I actually said it right here because I thought it
Brilliant.
might come up. This is
Yeah.
called the mace.
Okay.
It's kind of long.
Yeah. Pretty
But,
heavy.
it's not. It's not
Oh,
that
okay.
heavy. I gotta be able to
Okay.
carry it around. But after carrying it for a couple hours, it gets a little heavy.
Yeah.
The uniform, it's very cool because it is custom fit to me. So I got measured for that a week after I got the call, and then, getting to put it on the first time, I felt like a superhero putting on my super suit the first time. I still, on game day, I'll see my reflection in a window or something, and I'm like, that's me? Like, it's crazy. You kind of, I don't know, it's an out of body experience, but it's definitely kind of thick. It's a, marching band uniform, so it's got a little kind of heaviness and stiffness to it, but I fortunately get to train with Carter Peak Performance. They're strength coaches that as soon as I got the position, immediately it was game time. I met with them. I talked to them about, what I wanted to, what my goals were, what my, hesitancies were. Like, is there anything I was, wanted to work on or reach towards? And they prepared me for everything that I did. Working with them made the kicks feel super easy. So after, lifting weights and things,
Do you get to keep your uniform when you graduate?
it basically just goes in a storage closet.
Yeah.
And if it happens to go missing, they just don't say anything.
Sure. Yeah. Since it's custom fit to you, yes.
It's going to get framed on my wall, basically.
Is
So-
that kind of what every drum major does? Is that it's now, like you said, it's you said you feel like a superhero. It's like the Iron Man suit, right?
Mhm.
Like you have to have it with you.
Yeah.
And the other thing too that stood out to me, it's like you're this figure for you're this figure for the little girl that you were going to games, right? And I'm sure there's been multiple occasions where kids are coming up to you and you're like, oh my gosh, I love you, like everything's great, and you're like, I was you. Like, that's a super super cool position to be in.
Well, I actually have a really crazy story that kind of really fills the I was you moment. At OU Texas in 2017, I was in high school. It was my very first OU Texas game ever. And I loved the band, and I dragged my parents all the way across the Texas State Fair to go see the band. And I remember showing up and seeing Julie Seiberts, who is the very first female drum major of the Pride of Oklahoma. She was just standing there, and my dad was like, go talk to her. And I was like, no, no. And he just shoved me over there, and I was just like, hi. And she was so sweet and took time to talk to me, and we got a picture together, and it was my screensaver for like all of high school. And she's the one that encouraged me to go towards being drum major in high school. And being, here at OU, I remember reaching out to her and being like, hey, could you watch my audition? And then I remember getting a text from her when I got it of like, hey girl, I'm so proud of you. And I was like, oh my gosh, Julie just reached out to me. Like, and I texted her and I sent her the picture and I was like, you probably don't remember this, but I met you when I was in high school and you're the coolest person ever. And she's like, no, you're the coolest person ever. And now, like, somebody that I looked up to so much has been such a big sister and mentor to me throughout the past 2 years. She even surprised me she had a sideline pass for one of the last couple games. And I remember, standing on the field during the chant and seeing her on the sideline, like cheering me on. And it just, it made me so happy to, like, I don't know, have that full circle moment. Cause, I'm getting to carry her legacy with me. And then now whoever is next, gets to carry that legacy too. And I'm hoping to hopefully, be a big sis to whoever's next. So
Yeah, and they'll find out shortly. I guess everybody finds out around, that February 1st date.
February
which
1st?
is so cool. Did not mean to put this together when that was coming up. I had no idea.
You're good. It's honestly
That's
great
awesome.
timing. So, and I
Great
mean,
timing.
it was definitely a hard decision to decide, to be done and to pass on the torch. But I mean, one thing is, I will always be the 70th drum major, and I will always be the, first drum major in the SEC. And that's something that nobody will ever be able to take away from me. And it's something really special. And honestly, I think what gave me the most peace with it was that now I get to be that mentor for whoever's next, and they get to have this amazing magical experience that is this position. And they get to, make memories that will last a lifetime. And I'm so excited to still be close by to witness, that exciting time.
That's cool. You have a great bond with everybody, and now you get to pass on those experiences. The other thing, does the drum majors ever get together, like all of you? Is that a thing?
For homecoming, we actually invite everybody back. And so my first year as drum major in 24, all of the women were able to make it back for homecoming. So I'm the fourth woman ever to hold the position, and all four of us were able to make it back.
That's
Julie
cool.
Seiberts, Rose Muldoon, Kaylee Moss, and me. So
Yeah.
it's really cool.
Let's talk about the strut. It's iconic. It is, it's what you're known for. It takes a lot to practice it. I'm sure it takes a lot to do it in front of all the fans. What comes to mind when I say, tell me about the strut?
Woo! I mean, it is the most iconic thing. It is, the build up to it is something that, like, words can't even describe. Just the bump, 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 bump. Like when the band starts rolling and you're running through the band, and then it's so cool. And seeing the stadium, you're hearing everybody, and then you go back and like you kind of, because of there's like a kind of a bill on the hat, you can't really, all you can see is the sky and the bill of your hat. And you just go, and you can hear the band behind you, and you have to just really trust your instincts because you can't see where you're going at all. And I fortunately have somebody at the end. He stands at the 5-yard line. His name is Neil. He's the best. And he yells 5 every time I get there so that I know that I, won't topple a tower of cheerleaders. So, but it is, I mean, you flip the baton and you just have to trust yourself. Like you can't hesitate or else you're on the ground. I think I've only fallen twice at rehearsals, and that's just from you just can't stop. You have to just run and go. And it is, I mean, I think one thing that's really special about it is that every single drum major does it slightly different because there isn't really a teacher. For auditions, you kind of just figure it out on your own because everybody's body is different. And, sometimes, somebody might have a different center of gravity or might have, longer limbs or shorter limbs to make, you just can't all do it the same or you'll fall. And so finding that kind of pocket of, this is how I do it and this is how I hit the pose and make it look good and make it look smooth. It took a lot of practice and a lot of videos, a lot of me looking really, really silly on Pride Field. But overall, I think I found, my look and my feel, and then it just kind of becomes autopilot. I mean, the more and more you practice it, I feel like getting to do it a second year, I got to go out there and think a lot less about squeeze your core, make sure your arms are straight, make sure your knees are bent, make sure you're, like everything. And I could just, think about like, wow, this is so cool.
We haven't dove into like the official kind of game day schedule yet. I have it in my notes and I know there's probably changes regardless of time of kickoff. So let's go for a night game. If kickoff's in the evening, what is your day like and how, what have you got to do leading into doing everything that you do and then onto the field and after?
Game days are crazy. And looking at, the schedule like on paper, you think, how am I going to do that? And then it just kind of happens. We start about 12 hours before kickoff usually, or maybe closer to 10. But it's usually about a 12-hour day from leaving the house to getting home. For evening games, rehearsal can be closer to 10 or even noon. But morning games, we start at bright and early, 4 a.m., 5 a.m. Woo! You haven't heard Boomer Sooner until you've heard it at 5 a.m. It's a great experience. But we have a rehearsal. It's usually 2 hours to run through, kind of warm everybody up. Like, hey, we're going to play our instrument. Let's get our bodies warm, do some stretches, do some, jumping jacks, run through the pregame show, make sure it looks good, make sure if anybody's sick, do we need to fill in any holes to make sure that the OU looks like the OU, run through halftime, make sure all the formations look good, everything's, from our week of rehearsal, make sure, because we do a different show every single week. So making sure that everything is all locked in for those games. And then after that rehearsal, we walk from the Everest Training Center all the way to Catlett, the School of Music, where we get breakfast or lunch, depending on the game. So I guess evening game, it would give us lunch, which thank you so much to all of the people that donate to us and to the alumni that donate to us. We would not be fed without everybody being so generous. But we get things like Chick-fil-A. We've gotten, what else? I'm trying to think. We've gotten Midway Deli. We've gotten Slim Chickens was like one of the best ones. My goodness. Slim Chickens before a game day was so good.
And are you in uniform at this point as well? You're suited up?
So this is kind of our get ready period. It's kind of like the green room before the show.
Sure. I was going to say, eating in your uniform's a bad idea.
Yeah, no, I would make such a mess.
Yeah.
So we're just in like dry fit Nike. We're actually super fortunate to be a part of OU's athletic Nike sponsorship. So our tennis shoes that we march in are Nike, our our shorts, shirt, everything that we wear under our uniforms, even our like ball caps that we wear are Nike, which is awesome because those are definitely built for the heat. So, but we're all just kind of in our dry fits, eating, fixing our makeup, doing our hair, maybe watching football if there's another game on. So it's like the downtime, the calm before the storm, And so after we get all suited up and, it kind of feels like a green room, it's kind of like, all right, I'm about to step outside, I'm about to go do this show. And I mean, once you leave Catlett, it's go time. So we go to the North Oval, which now has tailgating on it, which is so cool. I guess before Drumline would actually leave early and go play at Campus Corner. And that was always a blast. That is the one thing that I do miss being drum major is getting to play drums on Campus Corner. Cause it's just, there's so many people there and you get to march down the center and just drum and everybody's, crowded around and like hyping us up. And it was always so much fun. But then when I switched to drum major, I just get to meet on the North Oval. And North Oval is what we call rewarm, which is just when everybody gets rewarmed. And it's kind of fun because that's kind of our first appearance of the day. So a lot of people are excited to see us, lots of family pictures. It's also one of the calmest parts of the day in terms of like, that's the one time where you can like talk to people and take pictures and, just kind of, you're in full uniform, but you're not really doing your job quite yet. You're just kind of warm up. It's kind of like backstage almost. I don't know. So then earlier, we would parade over to Boomer Bash, which was by Price College of Business, which has now been moved to the South Oval because there's tailgating now. So now we do Boomer Bash there and then parade. But Boomer Bash is super fun. It's for all the alumni. We play a bunch of tunes. We get these super cool buttons that say beat whoever we're playing against. It's always super fun. There's usually tons of people. Then we parade. The parade is one of my favorite parts because it's just, so many people gather around and I get to I always try to high five little kids and that's always fun. And I get to dance around with Sammy, who is our twirler. I love her. She's kind of my, my duet partner for most of the things I get to do because I'm the only drum major, which leaves me kind of individualistic. And she's the only twirler, which leaves her kind of solo as well. And so it's kind of nice to have someone else who also is kind of in a soloist position to lean on and, goof around with and, just spend time with since you don't really have a section of people you're performing with. So, but getting to do the parade with her is always fun. We enjoy it. So, and then we do Heisman Row, which is probably the coolest place to ever do a concert. They block off the cobblestone road. And so we get to line up, fill that whole space. And then, on the ladder, I look up and there's the stadium right in front of me, which is so cool. It's one of the coolest spots ever. And tons of people are heading into the stadium. So it's super crowded and it's always just a ton of energy. So, and then with that, we get the, OUPD to escort us into the stadium and we go down the tunnels and get set for pregame. It's immediately straight into it. And that is my one time to set everything down, take a potty break if I need it. That's it. Get some water, maybe have a snack real quick and then get in the tunnel and go out for pregame. And with the drum line, I've always started on the field. And even as drum major, I've started on the field. One thing that one of my friends wore a GoPro and I got to finally see it, but all 300 of them pile into these two tunnels. And I've never been back there because I've always started on the field, but the energy in there is crazy. They're all jumping up and down, like they're about to run out faster than the football team. It's crazy. And they're, counting down and they hear the drums start to cadence and they all get super excited. And, I get to blow the whistle to start everything now as drum major. It's just, here, I'm going to slow down a little bit. But Mr. Britt, our director, he stands there and he's all serious and watching the clock. And then he gets some kind of I don't know how he knows. He just knows when. And he turns around and he goes, "Let's go." And he points right at me. And it's chills. And I just take a deep breath and I blow that whistle as hard as I can so that the drums can hear it. And then they do, the tap off and I just point. And it is chills, getting to point. Especially because it's all of my friends on the drum line. It's so hard to keep a straight face. I usually end up smiling in most of the pictures. You see me like big cheesing as I'm, pointing at all the drums. And then, the drums come towards me and I turn around and I start these high kicks and then the band just comes sprinting out around me. And it is such a cool point of view, to see everybody run, close in the lines and stuff. I got to witness it a little bit as on drumline, but getting to really stand in the center of it and see the lines close in is just really cool. And then, we run the whole pregame show. It's amazing. It's great. We now get to stay on the field and run, welcome the team onto the field, which is super cool for SEC. And then we hop into the stands immediately. And as soon as we're in the stands, it is support the team time. It is playing every single down of the game unless there's a flag or unless someone's injured. It is constant focus. I'm watching, where's the ball carrier? Did they go down, inbounds, out of bounds? Does the clock stop? Is it still running? Change of possession? Is this a kickoff? Yeah. Is there a timeout? Do we play? Do we not play? Just constantly, paying attention to everything. And it's just go, go, go. It's crazy. And then all of a sudden we reach halftime and we go out there, do our show, back in the stands, more go, go, go. And we play until there are 0 zeros on the clock, whether we're up 15 or down 15. We are up and playing. And then the game ends. We play the chant, hopefully win. And then we get to do a post-game concert. After the game, so a lot of the parents of the band kids get to come down, and there's just going to be traffic, so you might as well stick around. And we play our halftime show one more time. Sometimes it's like a little tiring because, especially if we just lost, we kind of just want to go home, but we still play and we still love it, and it's great. And we have a good time no matter what. So getting to do the post-game concert at the playoff game was really special. Even though we lost, it was like my last concert. And I'm very glad that even when we lose, we still get to play, because it kind of, I don't know, softens the loss a little bit.
Yeah.
So, but yeah, that's a typical game day. And then we drums, we walk back to Everest and load the trailer, and then walk back to Catlet, take off our uniform, put it in a bag. They go clean it, and we go home and go to sleep. So long day.
Yeah, that is, and there's so many things that I didn't expect you. I was not thinking of during the game, the things that you're paying attention to keep, the band playing or not playing, or, like it never ends.
Mm-hmm. It's constant go, 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 but it's so fun. It's just like a whirlwind.
How are you going to find something to replicate this after you graduate? Like, what's next? Like, how are you going to keep this going? That's something that, I'm a golfer. I get to play golf. I played a little bit of golf in college, and I get to do that after I graduated. Like, do you have any idea what it is that you want to do to keep your music, kind of keep scratching the music itch going forward?
I mean, I have a couple ideas. I'm kind of keeping my options open. I mean, I'm planning to just write music, and if that takes off, cool. That would be really cool. Whether it's for a video game or for movies or just, my personal stuff. I think that will probably continue to, scratch the music itch, but I'm super interested in audio engineering. I've been looking at, jobs with microphone companies and headphone companies and speaker companies, and, seeing if maybe that's something I'd want to do. I've even looked into theme park type things. So like Universal Studios or, Disneyland, Disney World, getting to design, the audio and just the shows of that, I think would be really interesting to me from a engineering standpoint and from a artistic standpoint. So I kind of don't know where's next, but that's what's exciting.
Finishing up, did you know 50 Cent was coming out?
No.
Nobody knew.
They didn't tell us at all. And I mean, I keep a GoPro running during the games just to get some of my some of the crazy reactions. I had no clue. It was a huge surprise. It was so the only secret we knew was that they were going to light the field with the projector stuff, because they told us that we couldn't start on the field. Yeah. And we were like, what do you mean we can't start pregame on the field? And Mr. Britt was like, there's something going on the field. And by process of elimination, we were like, okay.
You don't want to catch a laser to the face.
That would not be good.
Yeah.
So.
You said GoPro, so you've got some footage. You filmed some things.
Yes, I have filmed a lot of, I guess, just my time as drum major. I got a GoPro for Christmas when I got the position. Because my dad was like, you've got to document all of this. So I have GoPros of me going upside down and, seeing the band upside down. And I've got footage. The stands are crazy. You get to see you get to see all the students throw beer in the air, and it looks like a football game, and it's crazy. But, and then I even have video footage from when we beat Alabama to become bowl eligible in 21, where we stormed the field. And that was a crazy experience, getting to, witness that from a platform. But it's been just, I don't know, it's been really cool to look back at all the video that I have. And I even have video of me learning my first couple runs as drum major on Pride Field. And I'm in the wrong spot and running into people, and, because the show for the SEC, we had to change it, because the OU used to go back into the north end zone. And then to make the tunnel, we had to turn the OU that way to go to the south end zone, which means my drill had to change, and nobody knew how to do that. So it kind of was just a process of elimination. And then Sammy, our twirler, was also new. So we were both learning the ropes together at the same time. But it was really fun to kind of, I don't know, have all that video documentation of my time.
This has been a blast. Thank you so much for taking some time out to share some stories. Congratulations on an incredible career. Good luck graduating this year with your career in electrical engineering and music, and trying to become John Williams is the goal, to write music for as many things as you can write. For people listening, where can they find you? Where can they follow you? What's your Instagram account? People can check in with you and see the things you've done.
For sure. You can find me on Instagram at Halle_K. That's Kaye, not just the letter. That's my Instagram. You can probably tell because it probably has pictures of me, in a band uniform, bent backwards. So it'll be pretty obvious when you see it. But yeah, that's where you can, reach out, message me questions. If you're a high schooler in band that wants to, join the Pride, reach out. I can tell you all about it. It's one of the, it's the highlight of my college career, hands down. So, and to anybody that, wants to be in band or even just wants to do something, go for it. Go for it.
Awesome. What a great way to end. For people listening, I'll post Halle's Instagram in the description down below. We'll catch you next episode. Cheers.
Awesome. Thank you.
Hope you guys enjoyed that great episode. Thank you so much for listening. As always, huge shout out to our sponsors, the Oklahoma Hall of Fame, sharing Oklahoma story through its people since 1927. For more information on the Oklahoma Hall of Fame, go to www.oklahomahof.com and follow them on Instagram for daily updates at OklahomaHOF. Our other sponsor, the Chickasaw Nation, amazing sponsor. They do amazing things for the state, and they're always sponsoring something in Oklahoma. They're a huge supporter of Oklahoma, and without their support, we wouldn't be able to do what we do. This episode is brought to you by the Doghouse OKC. Recently, I have been in need of some doggy daycare for my 2 pups, and the Doghouse have come in clutch. The team over there are incredible. They've taken care of my 2 golden doodles, and so it's been an honor to partner with them on the podcast and share the love. And adding to that is the Doghouse. And so if you're in need of doggy daycare in the day or boarding overnight, they do grooming and other cool things too, but I've had a fantastic experience, and it's an honor and a privilege to share this with you too. So go to thedogHouseOKC.com and follow them on Instagram at thedogHouseOKC, and hopefully our pups will run into each other.
Thank you for listening. We are inspired by those around us and hope that you are too. Make sure you subscribe to this podcast on your favorite podcast platform and leave us a review so we can keep telling your stories. For more great Oklahoma content, follow This Is Oklahoma on Facebook and Instagram.